Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. The weekend is here. What a great weekend it is. Thanksgiving is in the rearview mirror, I guess, if you're hearing it over the weekend. Black Friday's here. All the people at Amazon can stop belly aching about being in the red. I'm sure they've been losing money to this point. Local businesses, be sure and visit those. And most importantly, get signed up at FatJackSports.com. It's a great weekend, a big weekend of football and basketball. Of course, it's Feast Week, which has basketball all day long. UFC going again next week. We have bowls coming up, so many different things to get to. Let me quickly bring in my co-host from Louisville, Kentucky, figure out how his holiday week is going, and get you guys ready to make some money betting the games. Brandon, how are you, buddy?
I am doing well. The fact that we are really at the end of the college football season, and at least the regular season, and we're into profit, I'm not overly sad about it, but because the bowls are coming, and those are the most profitable time for the service, which is just icing on a very, very fat cake.
Yeah, and also one of the great values that I
Mm,
run all year long. It's one of those, some months are the best. The best time you can get dialed into the service and get dialed in at FatJackSports.com, honestly, are the couple of weeks leading up to the Super Bowl week, and about a day or two after that. That's the sweet spot. You get the lowest price of the entire year. You can pay out the service fee over up to 10 months. So for some guys, it's $180 a month
mm.
um, to make money betting on sports. Same package, same picks. You just pay less when you sign up that time. After that, you get into these little sections where the profit goes through the roof and the prices aren't horrible. And December is certainly one of those times. December, with the bowl analysis sheet, which is a predicted final score on every single bowl game, that's thrown in for free. Uh, Great for office pools, guys that like to play more than just our top plays, all those things. It's included if you're on a football package through the bowl season. You get that for free. And it adds extra profit. It's great for guys that kind of like to get a deeper dive into what actually is going on, all that information. And it doesn't cost anymore. So December, as you just said, a great time to get signed up, a great time to win. And as we head into now, Thanksgiving's early. So we've got another week or so of November left, almost a full week of November left, depending on when you're listening to the show. And then we get into December, which is a big, big month, not only profit-wise, but days-wise. 31 days, lots of bowl games on a Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll have 3,
Mm.
4, 5 selections, where right now we have very few on a Tuesday or Wednesday in football. So those type of things, there's more plays in December than just about any month of the year, simply based on the anatomy of the bowl season. So great time to get signed up, great time to win. Go to FatJackSports.com. How was your week last week? What were your thoughts? And, of course, Thanksgiving. Tell me a little bit about that before we get into the nuts and bolts of it.
It was just it was one of those weeks where kind of like everything's flown by, and before you make some plans, you do the plans, then you look up and it's like, oh, we're off to this. So very hectic schedule wise, but the good news is it doesn't take that long to place the bets as a client. The email comes in, boom, place the bets, go about your business. So it
Well,
was,
building profit's better than losing money, which is what most
you know,
people are doing right now.
yeah.
Our bad weeks, which we've had a couple weeks in a row, after 3 weeks, super hot weeks, where we had won a ton of money, $100 player up well over a couple $1,000. We've had a couple weeks in a row that were basically push weeks. We lost $50 2 weeks ago, about 50 this last week. That doesn't include hoops. So if you're playing hoops or the UFC, you made a little bit more than that. You made a little bit, but not huge weeks, and a little bit of bad luck here and there, but not a big deal. Like I say, you shrug your shoulder. You're not going to win every single week betting
Sure.
on sports, but over the long run, which is why all the packages are set up for long-term purchases, save you so much money, because we honestly don't want you. I don't want you signing up for just a weekend or just a day or two, having nothing to do with the service fee and everything to do with changing your mindset as a gambler from a guy that is, oh, let's see how the old boy does. How many of you out there that sign up are saying exactly those words? Let's see how he does this weekend. Who gives a rip how I'm doing this weekend, unless you were along with John Girard in Las Vegas for F1 last weekend? I mean, there's no reason in the world to care about one weekend unless you're going to quit gambling after this weekend. You want to care about how I do long term. That's why we have a results page. That's why we post all the results. So you can go see exactly how you would have done had you started at the beginning of the season, had you started at the beginning of the year, or if we're a 365-day client. Those guys all come back because they like winning consistently. They want to make money long term, not a let's see how he's doing. That is a losing mindset no matter how I do. If we go 11-2, we've had a couple of those in the last month. 10-1, 11-2. If I do that, it doesn't matter. If I go 5-7, it doesn't matter. You want to add up profit over the long run. That's the most important thing. And you're right, it takes no time to bet the bets, place the bets, get the plays emailed to you. I'll tell you, Brandon, I came from Vegas. I'm in LA right now. We talked about it last week. I came from Vegas, and F1, the big auto race, was there. And I will tell you, Brandon, it did not disappoint from a disappointing me standpoint.
So it lived down to the expectations, is what I'm hearing.
I expected very little. I received very little. They, just a debacle. If you're on Twitter, which I don't encourage anybody to be on Twitter, I've decided. But if you're on Twitter, you probably got a highlight reel of all of the things that happened, all the bad things that occurred. It's like sometimes in America, I think it's almost like we are scripted. Like everything, Donald Trump is he's a script, right? This guy's on a made-for-TV show. I mean, that's who I think Donald Trump is. He's insane. And we vote him in as president. It's almost like America's scripted. Well, a subplot of that is F1 in Las Vegas over the last 8 to 10 weeks. And it really has been going on for months, since August, late July, early August, when they started tearing up the city. But it all culminated in a 3-night, supposedly, event. So they don't start the race till midnight because they want all the people who give a crap about that sport to be able to view it.
Mm-hmm.
And all those people live in Monaco or Italy or overseas. Well, so you can't run it, 3 o'clock in the afternoon like you would a normal sporting event in America because the people overseas are sleeping. So you had that first. It's a nighttime deal. Secondly, a manhole cover came off one of the things during the first night of practice, which you say practice, but people paid thousands of dollars to go to practice because it's a big deal. These cars are racing down the strip and going around. Literally 8 minutes in, manhole cover comes off, ruins this dude's car. He can't do anything. They shut it all down and basically send everybody home because all of the security guards timed out on what they were allowed to work state law. I mean, it's like a script. It really was. So nobody saw anything. And they all said, well, where's our money? So, well, you don't get your money back either.
Right.
No money back. Thanks for coming out. Go to your hotel, watch it on TV, rent some porn. I mean, that's basically what the people were saying at F1. Another subplot of that, Brandon, was that the guy that's the man in this, the Tiger Woods of fast cars, is this guy named Stupacek or Stupanik or something like that. I don't even know. He's from overseas.
Max Verstappen.
Perfect. Same thing. He is basically Tiger Woods. He came out from literally the first minute he got into town and said, this is stupid.
Yep.
The race is stupid. It's 99% show, 1% racing. I can't wait to get out of here. This guy is like literally Tiger Woods on crack. He wins everything. And oh, by the way, he won the race. I mean, it's not like he is just some dude on the tour who complained. It's not Max Homa or somebody that's pretty good but not great. This is the face of this sport, hated everything about it. And won, by the way. That was weird. The third thing, and most importantly to me, before we get into football this week, because we have a ton of things going on with rivalry week and a lot of the conferences and stuff, is the fan base that was there, Brandon. A third of the people were literally John Gerard, the guy from Talladega Nights. They were wearing bright red Ferrari hats and skin-tight leather green shirts that say Mercedes and parachute pants that looked like they fell out of a bar back in the 80s. I mean, that was them. And walking 5 wide down the strip, entitled to the moon, which kind of F1 is. And the other 2/3 were either locals that hate every single thing about this and have for months, or people who came to Vegas and they didn't know this was going on. They care so little about this sport. They didn't even realize it was happening. All they know is they can't go see the fountains because there's a grandstand sitting in the middle of it. I mean, it was a absolute dumpster fire.
Yep. I've followed it for many months just because of, obviously a lot of what we do is Vegas centric. So just seeing all the news, and then a lot of people I follow are F1 people, which is kind of weird. But they were, talking it up and everything, but just reading about all the debacles leading. Zach, they imported asphalt from Germany to pave the streets of Vegas with. It's absurd, and I'm at least glad for the people in Vegas and the people that work there and people that go there regularly that this thing is over, at least for the next 10 months, because apparently they're going to run it back next year.
It's going to take 8 weeks to tear it down. So there are going to be more cones around town. I'm almost a local there now. I'm in Vegas every week during
Hmm.
football season, and I will tell you, Brandon, my friends out there, and I've made a bunch of friends through this TV show and whatever. They are just a sigh of relief. The stress level in their lives just went down. I know some people that work at the casinos, they couldn't even get to work.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, they're walking to work. I mean, and having to be there late because the thing didn't start to minute. It's just it was a mess. Horrible, horrible thought out deal that was executed even worse. Go to FatJackSports.com. We're gonna have a big weekend, guys, and we've had a great year, a good year to great year. We're in that good to great year right now. I don't say great year unless we have an absolute great year. But we're in that good teetering over to great, and December is here. So we're going to make a lot of money going forward, which will probably tip this into a great year. Is it a top 2 year out of the last 30? Probably not yet. Long way to go. Certainly can see that. Not going to lose this year. If I used to give away, as you know, back in the day, a trip for two to Las Vegas to the Super Bowl for anybody that signed up for the season and didn't win. I had to pay that twice in 21 years or whatever. My new processor, not new, 5, 6 years old, said you can't do that anymore. So I don't offer that anymore. But I will tell you, Brandon, it would be a no-brainer. This not even close. I mean, our bad weeks we're losing a half a unit. Our good weeks
Hmm.
we're making 9 or 10. It's not even close. If you're gambling on sports and not winning, go to Fat Jack Sports, look at the packages, get signed up, get the emails, get in the system, and start winning. Games going on this weekend. What jumps out at you? Let's start in college because it's going to be easy to transition into the NFL. It's amazing what rivalry week has turned into. It's not as much of a rivalry week. We certainly have the poster children of that, Ohio State and Michigan, and Auburn, Alabama is not what it used to be. LSU,
Right.
A&M, I guess, has a little intrigue, but there's a Kentucky, Louisville for your part of the country. I mean, there's some interesting regional things, but from a national standpoint, other than Ohio State, Michigan, what on Sunday or on Saturday jumps out at you?
There really is not a lot of national intrigue. There, of course, there are playoff scenarios or at least championship game scenarios for a lot of teams. You get the Apple Cup with Washington State. You get Oklahoma State needing a win against BYU to get into the Big 12 championship game. The final game in the Pac-12 networks entity with Notre Dame Stanford. I mean, there isn't really a lot of substance outside of the big game, Ohio State, Michigan this week that really kind of circles the calendar for you on Saturday, at least not for
Yeah,
me.
so you're funny from a viewer standpoint. You're exactly right. I don't see a lot either. From a money making standpoint, there's a
Oh,
ton of games, so many games. Saturday's going to be a big day, and it is games like you talk about. The problem becomes when you start looking at these things. Now, of course, OSU. How far has OSU come this year? I mean, an unbelievable comeback to be able to even be in a conversation from where they were the first month of the season.
right. Lose to South Alabama. Now you're a win away for playing for a conference championship. That's
And
insane.
B and BYU's not any good. So
Right.
I'm not sure what happened with OU. I saw their defense has gotten tired or bad or maybe I'm not
Mm,
sure what.
well,
Uh,
I have a theory.
tell me.
In the wake of the Michigan sign stealing debacle, Brent Venables' name was thrown around in an article on ESPN that he was a guy who was very high on the sign stealing. And then ever since that article came out, all of a sudden, oh, you can't play defense.
I
Little.
absolutely love the idea that Brent would be involved in some sign stealing stuff. That is so fun.
That is,
I
but I mean, again, I go back to what we talked about last week when we discussed this. You're hand signaling in plays to 80,000 people. Like anybody in the stadium can see you and you can pick them up. If I mean, it's a competitive advantage thing, I guess, but like if you're dumb enough to not change up your signals and a coach is smart enough to pick up on them, more power to them. But
yeah, Brent.
maybe
Yeah, Brent's smarter than most of the coaches out there, so I could see
sure.
him. I could see him thinking this is an advantage. I'll take. That's so funny. I don't know that because he is not that type. But it's literally we talked last week. It's like the bedroom thing I mentioned in jaywalking.
Hmm.
Everybody's done it. Everybody's doing it. Why we're on
Well,
Michigan about this is really stupid. Yeah, you're right. And there's a lot of these games that you're like, well, Florida State. Well, yeah, I mean, Florida State could lose to Florida. Any of these games that jump out and say, hey, this team's going to lose? I mean, who do you think of all of the games that have a team playing for a lot? Who's most likely to lose? And I'm going to give away a free winner.
I mean, teams that are playing for a lot. I mean, Louisville's already locked into the ACC championship game, but they've gone into this game against Kentucky many years as a favorite and just absolutely laid an egg. That said, much different scenario because of coaching. That one at least kind of is intriguing. Washington State, always a sort of a coin flip kind of game. Obviously Washington with hopes of not only a Pac-12 championship game, but also a playoff appearance. That might be a spot where they can let up, especially a week after their offense really looked anemic at best. Those are probably the biggest red flags for me, or would be either of those two games.
All right, so I'm going to go back to the well that I talked about last week all over the country and was wrong, but I was barely wrong. And I'm gonna do it again here. I think there is the number one team to me that could go down this week is Oregon.
Mm.
And they're not playing. There's two of them. Florida State, absolutely. I think Florida State is still a little bit overrated. They have issues now. They got injuries from last week,
Yeah.
so it's not the same team it was a week ago, and they're obviously playing for a lot, spots in the playoff and so on and so forth. Oregon State is not a bad team. They had a punter, the deep snapper snapped it over the punter's head in the rain for a safety, which really changed the complexion of that game last week versus Washington. I'm not sure they get there. Like I said, I wouldn't. My son brought it up because he heard me all going all over the country, banging Oregon State's drum as a favorite. We didn't talk about this, but home favorites, 2 losses or more, which is what we got last week. 2 lost more teams that are home favorites over a top 5 team, Brandon. Incredibly profitable to play the 2 lost team at home. It only happened 11 times since 1978. All right. It just doesn't happen much. You don't have 2 lost teams that are favored over undefeated teams, especially this late in the year. And when that has happened, over the last, since I was 8 years old, I'm 53 right now, 11 times that it happened, the top 5 team was 2-9 straight up, now 3-9. And of those 9 losses, 6 of those 9 losses were by 14 points or more. They weren't even close. So it was absolutely an outlier for Washington to go on the road as an underdog, albeit a small underdog, and not only win but cover, or cover but win, whatever, against Oregon State last week. It doesn't happen much. It makes sense. You have perception versus reality. People want to play good teams at home, blah, 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 or good teams against 2 lost teams. That's typically not the way to go. So, but I'm not selling out. And by the way, Oregon State incredibly good at home, and they're not at home this week, but they were other, in conference and subsets of that also led you to believe Oregon State could pull the upset. That's deep snap, which I felt bad for the deep snapper. Deep snappers never get on TV ever unless they do exactly that, and they would not get off of the dude. I mean, they're following him on the sidelines. He went to the bathroom. They hold the camera outside the bathroom. He comes out the bath. I mean, the whole thing, basically, you're getting to follow the life of the deep snapper because he snapped one over the punter's head for Oregon State. So I'm not giving up on them as a team, though. Oregon playing for a lot. They're uber aggressive. 9 of the last 10 Oregon State games in this series when they play at Oregon have gone over. Lots of points. I think Oregon State's not in the rain this week, probably. I think they score some points. Oregon State also 12-3 straight up their last 15 games. Oregon State not used to losing late. They're one of those teams. There's a few of those in the country that you look at and you're like, that's their record?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 12-3, how does nobody care about Oregon State? Ever.
Missouri's a team like that. You look at we talked about them over the last few weeks, that you would if you didn't look at the name on the jersey and you just saw a team that was second in the SEC East, 9-2, and their only losses were Georgia and LSU, you would think this team probably has an outside shot at the playoff just because of how screwy it is. But because it's Missouri, no one pays attention. Oregon State, very similar.
So excited about the expanded playoff for exactly these type things. I mean, there's going to be some great first round matchups. And if Alabama gets left out, and I think they're probably going to, if they get left out of the playoffs this year, that's going to be one of those, because that team is playing as well right now. They just happen to be at a conference. They're in any other conference.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I mean, they're running away with it. So not that anybody's going to cry over spilled milk for the SEC. I mean, they get the benefit of the doubt all the time. And as I say that, they may make it. You last week said you thought they would make it. I looked at all the projections, and I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, it's really hard to say. They'll have to beat Georgia, and but they're a team. Even if they beat Georgia, I mean, I guess they get in then because they win the SEC. But anyway, the point is that with the expanded playoff system, there's going to be some first-round games that are really, really fun. So we got a lot to look forward to, including make a lot of money. Go to FatJackSports.com, get signed up today, and win. Free winner on that. I talked about Oregon State versus Oregon. I take Oregon State plus the points there. I think that they're vulnerable. I also think Florida State's vulnerable as well. Harder for me to play Florida because offensively they're just so inept. So I would have trouble betting them as well. But a lot of places to make money. And you see me kind of tiptoeing around these landmines because every game I'm looking at, I know we're probably going to play. And so I don't want to give those out on the show if I don't have to. I want you to get signed up. I want you to do something to help make you money betting on the games. Very hassle-free unless you're an idiot, which I had 2 or 3 of those. We're going to have mail time after the break, and we'll talk more about that. You can tell me how I did and whether I overstepped my bounds one more time.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.
Hey, it's Brandon Rush from the Fat Jack Sports Service. If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it. We are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every weekend. Plus, see funny clips from the show, see Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds. Stay connected to the Fat Jack at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials and on YouTube.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. And now here is our host, the man fronting your holiday budget for all the gifts. He's the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour. You're right, we're here. It came so quick, too, by the way.
You know, it's there's a thing called
That's
a
what she
calendar.
said, by the way. So
Fair. There's a thing called a calendar. And like for my brain, I look at things and I'm like, oh, that's a few weeks out. That's a few weeks out. And for whatever reason, it stuck up on me this year. Like, oh my God, we're at Thanksgiving, which means we're almost to Christmas, which means we're almost to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Thanksgiving came early.
Yeah.
Because as early as it can come. It typically comes the last Thursday, but I think Thursday is like the last day of the month. So it's not on the 30th, it's on the 20th. So it could not be any earlier. And those years, it always seems a little bit quicker. But yeah, we're now into the holidays. So if you're out there, and like I say, I'm not saying if you have $500 to spend on your children, that you just sign up for the service and bet that $500 and then hope for the bet. That is not what we are encouraging. What we are saying is that the people that have been on board since September, October, or gosh forbid, January 1st, their Christmas is better than if they hadn't been on by a long shot.
Someone's getting a nicer car because they're a client. Someone's getting a bigger diamond because they're a client. Like that's
they're heading to Mitchell's jewelry. Yeah,
right. We're escalating the gift giving process for winter graduations, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever it is. We're escalating the gift giving.
I will get between 20 and 50 emails for sure. And we don't read those. I don't know why we don't. I should really focus on the positive and not the negative. I need to fix that. But I will get between 20 and 50 emails, 100%, you can mark it down, of guys saying, last year it was, I'm building a new deck on the back of my house because of your service. Thank you so much. I'm taking my family to Hawaii for Christmas because of your service. Thank you so much. I was able to get my daughter a 2014 car versus a 2000 because of your service. Thank you so much. I will get 20 to 50 of those emails, and those are just the people that reach out. There's a lot of other people, I'm sure, that benefit and don't want to say thank you. And I prefer that, honestly. I don't need an email that, to say what you're doing with your money or that you're benefiting. You sign back up. I know that you're happy. You're not happy, you don't sign back up. It's as simple as that. And that's okay either way. Before we get to mail time. But go to FatJackSports.com if you want to if you want to make more money betting on sports than you're making right now, go get signed up. Because that's what we're doing for not only myself and you, but all my clients out there. So very inexpensive, less than $100 a week going forward. You get the bowl analysis sheet for free when you get signed up. It's a predicted final score on every single bowl game as of before the start of the bowl games. So you're going to get a predicted final score on the Poulin Weed Eater Bowl that nobody cares about, maybe including us, but I've done the work to figure out why we don't care about it, and then I've passed along that predicted final score on that game. So if you want to care about it because you're having to do something stupid during the holidays, you'll be able to bet money on it and hopefully make a little cash. So that's added. Office pools, lots of guys win their office pools every single year and just basically take my bowl analysis sheet, pass along the stuff, and win their office pools. Don't tell anybody. That's fine too. You don't have to tell them what you're doing. You being smarter than your coworkers is good for you and bad for them, but you don't have to explain why you're smarter. Just get signed up, use the bowl analysis sheet, and make some money. So
take their money and then run.
Yeah, take their money and then go eat a sandwich. And be like, yeah, I'm better. I'm smarter than these people. I don't know how I'm even in this job, because I should be better. I should be higher up than them. But you know what? At least for this month, I'm going to take a little bit of their paychecks with me on my New Year's celebration. So FatJackSports.com, get signed up and get ready to win. Mail time quickly, and then we're going to break down another free winner and talk NFL. We're going to have a bunch of plays on college, but there aren't extra plays. You know what I mean? There's plays out there, but it's either. And I really don't want to focus on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday games leading into the weekend either, because those are most people listen to the show Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I don't want to be giving out a bunch of information on Wednesday or Thursday games that guys are like, I can't use that, Jack. What am I supposed to do with that? If you want a free winner that's going to go Wednesday or Thursday, go to FatJackSports.com, click on I want a free winner, sign up for that, and then we'll send you a free winner. I'm going to send a free winner most likely Thursday morning, Thanksgiving morning, or at the very latest Thursday morning, most likely Wednesday night. I'll send something for Thursday, so while you're eating turkey, you'll have a free winner. But if you want to make money, don't play free winners. We talked about this for years. That's a losing way to gamble. Playing free winners is dumb. Don't be dumb. Don't be a losing gambler. Get signed up. Invest as little as $100 or so a week and consistently make money going forward. And don't say, well, I hope the old boy wins this free winner and then I'll make a decision, because you and I both know that is not what's going to happen. If I win, you're going to be like, I need another free winner. And if I lose, you're going to say something bad about me to your neighbors. So that's how that works. So free winners are dumb. Don't be dumb. Mail time. We need a theme for that.
We do. We have one, actually.
You have commented, emailed, called, texted, and tweeted. Let's filter out the noise and tune into the Fat Jack's feedback.
What is your name? Tony! Hey, you know what I did last night? You better not bring my mother into this.
You've got mail.
I'm assuming Fat Jack doesn't offer guarantees. By the way, Barry writes.
B-A-R-R-Y or B-E-R-R-Y?
Barry, B-A-R-R-Y.
Okay.
Last initial M, and then a U, and then an R. And then all I'm going to say, the next one's a P and an H. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not giving the last letter. I'm just giving the other letters. Not all the letters are out there.
I think you've redacted enough, yeah.
Just some of the letters are not in there. Do the math, don't do the math, totally up to you. I assume Fat Jack doesn't offer guarantees, but is there anything he can offer to help offset the losses this past week? All right, first of all, let's get some context. This guy likes basketball. I was 9-0 running up to this email, and then I lost one game, and one game 3 days in a row, and the sky was falling. College has been bad. NBA has been solid. NBA actually hadn't lost to that point.
Right.
So all this email tells me is that he is not following the recommended betting guide, by the way, and it also tells me he hasn't been a client long enough to benefit from all the winning weeks. So I then write back, Brandon, tell me if this is wrong or not, because I felt like I was good about it. LOL, I know that's not a great start. But I started with LOL because there's so many things dumb about his email.
So many things to laugh out loud at, yeah.
That's why I didn't capitalize it or exclamation, just a small LOL. We're having an unbelievable year in both football and basketball. If you want to make money, get all the plays. Not just one weekend or so in one sport, because his whole point was college basketball's not, everything else is either fine, which is not fine, hadn't lost, or footballs, we know, $100 players are up a couple $1,000 over the 3 weeks leading up to this. So I said, actually, everything is winning for the year. For getting all those selections, all you have to do is, to win with all those selections, all you have to do is get all those selections. Good luck. Well, he, of course, focused on the LOL. Said, I know it's easy to laugh at customers, but most of these losses weren't even close. Guys, here's the thing. It's sports gambling. There's variance. There's going to be winning days. There's going to be losing days. If you want to make money, you should look at this more like an investment that is a long-term success rate and less like going to the fair and throwing the ring toss onto the bottles for a big stuffed animal. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is a long-term way to be a successful, profitable sports gambler.
It's
So
a
that's
grind,
most important.
man. It is not an instant gratification sport.
It's not. And I wish it was. And it is for a guy that signed up 3 weeks ago and went 11-1. Or 4 weeks ago and went 10-2. It is instant gratification. But that's just out of luck. Because on average, we're going to win 4 out of every 5 weeks. So that means we're going to have a losing week. And if you sign up during the losing week, it doesn't make you more bad at this. It just means you sign up during a losing week. So get long-term winners if you want to win. FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today and win this weekend. It goes on and on and on, but I'm not going to go there. So because I'm sure he'll stop being a client at some point sooner than later, which again is totally up to him. If you don't want to win, don't sign up. NFL, what are your thoughts?
Three interesting games this weekend for me. In one, which I think might lead to a firing of a coach.
We're due for that, right?
We're due. We've already had obviously firings in college football, which is tis the season for that. But outside of Josh McDaniels, not an NFL coach has been fired this season. But again, with some jobs opening up, some teams maybe want to get a little bit ahead to position themselves to go after somebody.
Let me guess who you're gonna say before you.
Okay.
Because as I'm looking, it's not as cut and dry as you might think, because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I should be able to locate this pretty easy. You could start with teams like the Panthers that are just horrible and say, but I don't know if that happens there or not. I mean, Carolina typically will go a year or two.
But not this week.
Yeah, but it's probably not this week. But I think you're going to say it's between two. It's between the Bears or the Chargers is where I think you're going to go. And I think both of those are very valid. The Bears more than I would have said a week ago, because their coach has done a horrible job. And they gave up. They were a 98% win expectancy this last week with 4 minutes to go. How do you screw that up?
I got a stat on the Bears performance for you too.
So I'm going to guess that you're going to say no, I'm going to guess you're going to say the Bears. The Bears, if they lose to the Vikings, and it's the Chargers. Who is it, Brandon?
It is the Chargers.
Chargers. I almost went there. Gosh. Okay.
It's a team that, let's face it, a top third quarterback, which I think everyone would agree, Justin Herbert in the upper echelon of quarterbacks. You have a top 5 running back in terms of being a dual threat guy, being able to run the ball, catch the ball out of the backfield, a top 5 receiver core, and a play caller who can't get out of his own way. And it's not that this is something that just happened this year. This is a 3-year pattern of Brandon Staley being unable to do anything with the most.
I think that what is proven about Brandon Staley that he's a really good offensive coordinator, and he's not meant to be a head coach. I mean, I think you're right. He can't get out of his own way, but he's built a pretty good offense. But that combined with his game management, and it did it more last year than this year. But some of the decisions that he makes, a lot of the decisions he makes, are uber aggressive. Reminds me of Oregon's coach. And in the NFL, you can't do that. That will turn a 6-4 into a 4-6, and have people. If anybody cared, if this was a team that was in Dallas,
if this were the Rams.
Even the Rams, you're right. Any other market, he would have already been gone. But it's like nobody really cares. I'm in LA right now. I mean, nobody gives a rip about the Chargers. There's one Asian lady that was turned up on every meme in the country that cares about the Chargers, and nobody else. She got
a bobblehead.
Good for her. I'm glad she's passionate. Hopefully she wasn't high. But I mean, as long as she's was somewhat sober and not like, needing medication. I'm excited. She was so excited about a team nobody cares about.
Someone's got to be.
Exactly. And they play the Ravens. The reason I didn't go there and I was going to the Bears is because they play the Ravens. The Ravens, as I've said in July, are one of the best teams in the league and going to be relevant late in the year. And they're only 4-point favorites. So if they win, I don't know, you lose the Ravens, he'd have to do something really bad. But you're right, it's coming. I mean, there's some people on death row right now in the coaching front. The Bears deal, I don't know what his contract looks like. What I do know is they are a city that does care. And they want to win, and they want to win now. And they are no closer to winning football games. They have a worse record than the Chargers in a market that cares. There's a lot of debate on what Justin Fields is or isn't, and what they need to do in the draft. And so getting rid of him and or the GM, probably both. And I understand he hasn't been there that long, but I think he has proven that he's in way over his head. And there's big decisions that are going to be being made. It's not just we go win 3, 4, 5 games or whatever, and we're going to go on down the line, try to improve. This is a team that traded away some of their better assets over the year. It looked like they were doing a rebuild type situation. They've got a quarterback that might be a franchise, might be somebody that couldn't start for another team.
Yep.
I.e. Baker Mayfield, who was on literally his last leg after looking pretty good before he found a spot in Tampa. I don't know. Justin Fields, in theory, is a starting NFL quarterback, but in his productivity, he's been the least most profitable quarterback versus the spread since he came into the league. So this is not a guy who's producing not only money but wins for the Bears and has it. So what they do in the draft and what they do going forward with what looks to be a really, really bad record, those are decisions that might have two different schools of thought thinking different things. So I think their coach, who I don't pull up, Brandon, if you can for the segment. So what are the odds? Because you can look up odds on next coach to be fired, and see the top 2 or 3 are if you can find that. That'd be interesting to lay out there because you can bet on just about anything. You can bet on anything actually.
Right. But yeah, the Bears, Jack, might be in line to have the number 1 pick in the draft yet again. And
what you do with that,
yeah,
such a big decision, because do you go, which by the way, being from Oklahoma, you naturally have a disdain for Caleb Williams, I guess. It's natural, even though I don't blame him or Lincoln Riley for moving on. It was better for the school, better for both. And by the way, USC's horrible right now. I went to the USC-UCLA game. Somebody had compared USC-UCLA to OU Texas. That person needs to be punched in the throat immediately.
I was going to say kick them in the shins and take their wallet because they don't deserve it.
Worst take I've ever seen. It wasn't even close. Brandon, they were gone by halftime. Nobody cares. And it wasn't they were gone because USC was losing. They were gone because they had tea times. They had something else to do. They had planned dinner at 4.
There was a fierce pickleball match set for 5.
There was, and so it was planned. And the guys next to, I was sitting in a donor section, and the guys next to me, he said, "Yeah, well," he was told people in front of him, "Well, next time you see me, there'll be no Pac-12. You guys have a great weekend." And this is midway through the first quarter. There's 4 seats, and I turned to, and I said, "Is he out?" So yeah, he's gone. So he rarely makes halftime, and that was not just him. The whole school, the whole place is like that. Nobody cares. So Lincoln Riley gets exactly, and we were in the USC section, I should say, but he's getting exactly what he deserves. People that don't care about football, a below-average team with an incredible quarterback. Caleb Williams makes
amazing to think that Caleb Williams, probably the best player in college football the last 3 years, never won a conference championship.
No, they are so far from winning anything. Their defense is so bad, Brandon. So bad. Technique is bad. They line up wrong. They should be playing press coverage when they're off. It's 3rd and 3. It's like OU. It's literally like PTSD. 3rd and 3. They're 14 yards off to the slot receiver.
Yeah.
So UCLA throws it about 5 yards. The guy leads forward and gets the first down. I don't know why that is ever the plan. I'd rather take the shot at him hitting somebody down the field, beating press coverage, than to give up at midfield a first down. It makes no sense to me at all. They're so bad. But, yeah, he is next level. So to the point, what do the Bears do? Do the Bears take a quarter? Do they try to go that direction? Do they try to trade him? What is the world of them? Or do they go with Justin Fields, go someplace else? What are the odds on coaches being fired?
I got that, and I got a crazy Bears stat from Sunday. Brandon Staley, the odds-on favorite to be the next coach fired, plus 150. Frank Reich, Carolina, plus 250. Ron Rivera at Washington, 3-1.
Makes sense.
And Matt Eberflus of the Bears, plus 750.
Gosh, you know what? I might take a flyer on Eberflus. He is bad and getting worse. Although you're right, Staley. If they get beat 34-10,
well, and it's at home too, so I don't know if that weighs into anything.
Yeah, no, and Baltimore's not going to travel, so there will be good seats remaining. I might go to that game. Was it Sunday?
Yep.
I might go to that. I'm supposed to leave
Sunday night
maybe
too.
Maybe I'll stay there. I could lay down. Maybe I could play. I mean, if you show up with $50, they might put you in the game. So, FatJackSports.com, get signed up. Free winner in that game. I do like Baltimore. I do think Staley gets fired. I'm going to ride the Baltimore way. I had Baltimore on Thursday night.
Yep.
Like them, like the over in that game. The teams right now that I would ride until further notice, and this is going to sound weird, Brandon, are Baltimore and Buffalo. I had Buffalo on Sunday, Buffalo on Sunday, and Buffalo right now has such a bad perception of what they are, and they're not good as far as turning the ball over. But what people don't understand is when they don't turn the ball over, and by the way, they're on a bye, so it's not going to help you this week, but it will help you next week. When they don't turn the ball over, and if they can, and I do believe that what the receiver says in public and his play on the field are not connected. There's a lot of receivers like that. Keyshawn Johnson was like that. T.O. was like that. He would say things. Randy Moss would say stuff in the meeting. He'd go out and play great. And I kind of think that Buffalo's receivers like that. He says stuff in the media, but he's still going to show up and play. And Buffalo's got some value if they don't turn it over. It's a big if, and you don't want to have to. So you want to play some teams that typically are not super optimistic. We played Buffalo last week. It was the easiest play, not only on the board, but maybe the last month.
And they're going to be underdogs, Jack, in 4 of their next 6.
And if they don't turn it over, and they do not have a bye, sorry, they play the Eagles. The Eagles this weekend. They are a 3.5-point underdog. And I would play Buffalo here. I think this is a big game. The Phillies getting ready to play against Kansas City. Tell you a little bit when the show is taped. But I think that Buffalo is not as bad. They are still fighting for a playoff spot, and they are my second free winner. Buffalo Bills plus the points over Philadelphia on Sunday. FatJackSports.com. Get signed up. Less than $100 a week to make money. Bowls are coming out here in a week or so. Conference championship games are coming up. That's going to be a huge, huge weekend, and I'm going to run a special. So if you're not already dialed in to that weekend's plays, get dialed in. We will have a big, big card. And then after that, Brandon, last January was the most profitable January I have had in 27 years of doing this. If you remember back, I lost literally nothing. I think over the month of January, after the national championship game in college football, which we did okay up to that point, but when we got the playoffs in January last year, go back and look at the results tab. Nothing lost. I was giving prop bets out 5 or 6, and they were going 6-1 or 5-1.
That's when you know things are going very well, is when you're sending out prop bets with picks for free.
Volumes of prop bets for free that are doing nothing but making people thousands of dollars. And it was not just one day, it was for a month. And that is going to happen again. This new system, this new model that I'm using, and all this stuff, when we get to January, Katie, bar the door. It is on, because I know what these teams are and I know what they're not. And we take advantage of that. And some of these players, I've been digging deeper into player props, always looking for the next way to make money. And it isn't to the point where we're offering a paid service for the prop bets, but we're getting close.
I was say, you can see it from here.
We are getting close. I'm telling this will not be a service without a prop bet package 5 years from now, for sure. No. And it might be next year. Because just because we're not releasing them doesn't mean I'm not playing them and not watching them. We're actually dialing in. I don't want to charge for something that takes away from the profit I know everybody's going to make if they sign up for football and or basketball. So I'm not doing that. Just similar to me being resistant to charging for baseball. Even though that's the off season when you can't give away profit. Anytime I start digging into football season with another way to bet, I really think a lot about that, because I do not want what I know is all but guaranteed profit in football to then be deducted away from based on something I think we can win at. But we are very close to offering prop bet packages, because I am getting very good at that. And there's opportunity to make a lot of money in this world of sports gambling where everybody seems to offer ways to bet on every game that really nobody should be betting on. Hey, this is the Fat Jack, and it's December. Are you ready for the bowls? Now is one of the most profitable times of the year to get signed up and make money betting the games. Go to FatJackSports.com and get extra value in the month of December. The bowl analysis sheet is coming out soon. It's a predicted final score on every single bowl game that is free when you sign up for a football package. At Hoops, it's about $20 a week to make money. Go to FatJackSports.com, sign up today and win this holiday season. FatJackSports.com to win.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. And now for the final time in November, here is our host looking into the crystal ball. He is the Fat Jack.
How is that a thing? Fat Jack Sports Hour segment number 3. I guess it is, unless you're getting the podcast next week. 'cause you get the podcast or even listen on Thursdays. I think Thursday's the last day of the month, right? Next
It is
week?
30th. Yes.
Yeah,
December
so
1st is the Friday.
but we are running the point is still there. We are running out of November, guys. And if you are not signed up yet, or if you've been signed up but not consistently, it's time to get re-signed up and start making some money. Go to FatJackSports.com. We're going to have a great run into the holiday season, and you are not going to want to miss it. You're going to want to get signed up and start winning today. People complaining about the Big 12 championship. You talked about Oklahoma State and the tiebreaker. By the way, I did have somebody else get mad at me. I wrote it down. A guy got mad at me because I put on, here's the client too, I put on the releases when they go out, like on Thursday night, I had Baltimore over 46 points, right?
Right.
A week ago Thursday, flew over the total. This guy emailed me and got mad because he said, why do you say it like that? Why don't you say it differently? And he said, do you want me to play Baltimore and the over? Or Baltimore by themselves to score 46 points? I mean, he had 2 or 3 different options. All were I don't even know how to respond, Brandon. Of course, I do not want you to bet Baltimore by themselves to score 46 points if they're playing a high school team. I don't want you to bet that. And if I did, I would certainly be more clear about it. And if I want you to bet Baltimore and the over, I will put Baltimore -4 and Baltimore over 46, right?
Yeah, and or if it's a team total, it will say, "Hey, Ravens team total over 26.5." It's
if
not
it's 46, it's a typo, by the way. The total was 46. So if I'm putting Baltimore over 46 and you think it's a team total, even if I put the word team total, that's a typo. I'm never going to bet for you to have one team in the NFL score over 46 points. That is not a thing.
Yeah, that's not on you. I mean, you could easily look at that game and be like, oh, well, the total in this game is 45.5. Surely Jack means over 46 for the game.
How about just Googling it? I mean, how about I don't know that you could bet over Baltimore by themselves over 46. I'm going to have the new websites being rolled out after the first of the year. And it's going to have a chat box that you can go on there on the front page and put in any question you want and get the
24/7.
24/7. You at 4:00 in the morning, if you think I want you to bet Baltimore over 76 points by themselves, you're going to be able to go in the chat box and say, hey, does Fat Jack want me to bet over 76 points in this game? And it's going to say, hey, idiot, no, nobody ever wants you to bet over 46 points in one game for one team. That's what it's going to say. I'm going to have it customized. That way the flavor that I provide so eloquently my clients
through chat,
will carry over to chat and through AI. What do you got, Brandon? You said you had a stat. What do you got for us?
The stat on the Bears into how bad that loss was. The last 41 teams who had a 40-minute time of possession and were +4 in turnovers.
Turnovers, yeah, I saw this.
4-0 or 41-0. They were the first team in I missed the time frame, but the last 41 times the team had 40-minute time of possession, was +4 in turnovers, had lost.
That is rarefied air. Mm-hmm. That's screwing up at an epic proportion. I wonder how many emails he gets. Because if I was a Bears fan, I might reach out. I mean, he's getting paid a lot of money, millions and millions of dollars to do horrible things, to cost teams. And by the way, fans that really care. I mean, this is not Southern California or Miami or Tampa, where they have other things to do. In Chicago, winter is coming. And they need some sports to matter, and they are not going to be happy if it doesn't. So I don't know. He may be first, especially if the Chargers win. He might be first out. So what other game on Sunday jumps out at you? How much time we have?
We only got about 5 minutes left here. But in one of those games that I always like kind of build up as let's see if they're real type of game. Jacksonville against Houston. Two teams in the AFC South, Jack, who are really kind of on similar paths. Lost 2 of their first 3 and now have won a handful in a row. Houston, I think, has really come out of nowhere. And if you would have told me that in the summer that, hey, Houston is not only going to have a winning record, but be favored to make the playoffs, I would have called you insane. Right now, Houston to make the playoffs -185.
Yeah, I think to make the playoffs, exactly. I think both of them are frauds. But What does that
And
mean?
I mean, they're not going to win the AFC, but they're still pretty good teams.
And if you make the playoffs in the NFL, I don't think you can be classified as a fraud. So you're right. I mean, they one of these teams we're going to find out. Jacksonville 1.5 favorite on the road at Houston, total 46.5. Houston's owned this series lately, by the way. I know Jacksonville hasn't been any good, but Houston, and I understand they have new parts and a new coach. By the way, I love their coach.
Yeah,
he's one of those that we talk about running through a brick wall for people. We throw that around lightly, like, God, I run for. I don't know where that became a thing. Nobody's running through a brick wall. It's a stupid saying.
It's a Kool-Aid man.
Kool-Aid man, exactly. I've got one guy, Kool-Aid man, the only guy we know that'll do that.
But yeah, DeMeco Ryans, when he was defensive coordinator for the 49ers, that locker room loved him, and they're absolutely buying in down in Houston.
They love him here, and he loves his players. He's very complimentary. He gives them rope, even on offense, where that's not really his thing. This guy is a player's coach, if there ever was one, and he's getting the most out. We talk about getting the least out of players with what's going on in San Diego or the Chargers. He's getting the most out. Jacksonville 5-0 against the spread their last 5 on the road, and they've won 7 of their last 8 road games. So this is a team that travels pretty well. Houston, and this is a sneaky good matchup. Houston 10-1 straight up their last 11 in this series. They've won 10-11. Jacksonville does not beat Houston much. And this is a Houston team that's not been great. We haven't talked about them being great. They've had, more high-profile names, but
I mean, even when Deshaun Watson was getting rubbing tugs at neighborhood massage parlors, they were beating the Jaguars. So
exactly. Under has gone 5 of the last 6 games have gone under in this series. When it's been played at Houston. So typically lower scoring games. I would throw most of that out. And this is a much better game to watch than it is to bet on. I'm going to give you one that I do like. By the way, I think there's a ton of unders going this week. I think there's a bunch of numbers that say games are going under. So if you're out there and you're one of those, well, it's got a rebound. 60% of all NFL games this year have gone under the total. The primetime games have been incredibly profitable to the under. If you're like, and I typically do this, I like to swim upstream a little bit and be contrarian. I don't know that that's happening this week. Carolina, Tennessee, 4 of the last 5 Carolina games have gone under. 4 of the last 6 in the series have gone under. 11 of 14 Tennessee games have gone under. And 13 of 17 at home have gone under. That one absolutely reeks of the under.
Some really anemic offenses. The Saints and the Falcons play each other.
That's right.
Patriots, Giants, who have been horrific on offense, they play against each other this weekend. So yeah,
that's the next one I was getting to. New England and the Giants, 7 of the last 9 New England games have gone under. And oh, by the way, they're playing the Giants that couldn't score on you and I. The Giants, 4 of the last 5 at home have gone under, and everybody is fed up in New York, almost as much as they are in Chicago. Kansas City and Las Vegas, same type of deal. Las Vegas, apparently firing your head coach and going to the backup quarterback makes your defense play better. Josh McDaniel, I think is as much to blame for what happened on the defensive side under his leadership as offense, because clearly there were different ideas about what should happen. And you can say, well, Jack, they beat the state of New York. I was saying that last week. Well, last week they didn't beat the state of New York. They covered and held a Miami Dolphins offense that I thought was going to roll it up last week, and they held them in the 20s. So clearly this Vegas defense has got some different things going with a few different players, and I think that probably continues. And because of that, I think the Dolphins go on the road, and I think they blow up the Jets. Somebody once told me that when somebody shows their true colors, I have some really, really graphic examples of this. I will not say, but just the point is, if somebody shows you their true colors, believe them.
Yes.
And I think right now in November, heading into December in the NFL, we've got to take some stock of some of these teams that have shown us who they are. The Jets, the Giants, the Patriots. Not saying they're going to lose every game, but I'm saying what we have are teams that are really, really bad offensively. Some level of success defensively, but no success offensively, and that is not something they are going to change in the middle of the season. So I do think that if you want to auto blind bet something during the holidays, under with those 3 teams, and there are others too, but those are kind of the 3 main ones: the Jets, the Giants, and New England. You're not going to get by based on the leadership at the coaching position and what they're going to allow their quarterbacks to do, based on the ability of their playmakers, and the fact that on defense they're not horrible. None of those three teams. So, or two of the three are not horrible at all by any stretch, and even the third. And you might even throw now that Watson's out at Cleveland, you might throw them into that as well. I don't know where points come from with those type of teams. And anytime that's the case, if you auto bet under that, you're going to beat now and then. But generally speaking, you're going to make a lot of money betting the under on those type teams.
And then another game this week, also Minnesota and Chicago on Monday night.
Yeah, the problem with that is the Bears have gotten better a bit defensively.
Sure.
But they showed signs of giving up points. And I think Josh Dobbs is a wild card for sure.
I'm so happy for him. And he's a guy who's he's been bounced around. He was in Pittsburgh. He was in Arizona. Good for him. You would
expect the more time he spends. He's been there, 10 days now? Probably hasn't unpacked. Unless he hired Packers, he probably hasn't unpacked. And so you would expect with every passing day for him to get a little more comfortable with what they're doing and them to, frankly, see what he does well. So I think they're a little bit more of an X factor. And I do like the play call. I like the coaching staff with Minnesota. I think that he does a good job, especially on offense. So I might steer clear of that total, but I definitely some of these other ones. The other thing to keep in mind before we get out of here, double-digit favorites are now, if you play them at the opening line, so early in the week, I talked about this on Beat the Odds this week, but if you play them early in the week, you're on a 11-4 run against the spread. If you play double, now if you waited until the general public jumped on the better team, you got beat last week with San Francisco. So you got to give one of those away. But other than that, if you jump on these double-digit favorites this time of year, early in the week, more times than not, you're going to have success. If you don't want to go through any of this, go to FatJackSports.com, get signed up. We're heading into December. We'll make a ton of money, less than $100 a week. Everything's emailed to you. Bowl analysis sheet is coming, conference championship games, and much, much more. Brandon, final thoughts?
I am very excited to come home this weekend and not bet games, which will kind of suck because it'll be the first time in a long time I haven't been able to wager games because Oklahoma is living in the Stone Age. So
yeah, they're ridiculous. We're probably gonna go 12-0. So fire up for that. Brandon will have to watch that from the couch in Tulsa, and get signed up. Wager responsibly. Happy Thanksgiving weekend. Enjoy your Black Friday. Please travel safely, everybody. And until next week, for Brandon the Fat Jack, this has been the Fat Jack Sports Hour.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.